Sometimes paper doesn't want to stay flat. Sometimes it wants depth, movement, and quiet variation. Today, I'm going to show you how I hand dye paper to create soft, naturally variegated color. Not to make it perfect, but to help it feel more alive. This is about slowing down, watching color travel, and learning to see paper a little differently. When paper gets wet, it changes. Some soften immediately, others hold their shape a little longer. Over the years, I've colored paper with many different things. Tea and coffee, fabric dye, watercolors, even chalk when that's what was available. And I still make room to discover new ones. What I've learned is this: the medium matters less than the way the paper responds. Once you notice that, the process becomes slower, simpler, and more forgiving. I use tea and coffee often. Instant coffee is my go-to, and I usually add a few drops of vanilla to soften the smell. Tea needs no additions, and it always dries lighter, naturally. I also work with acrylics, gouache, fabric dyes, food coloring, and watercolors, sometimes on their own, other instances combined. Paper is generous that way. It rarely disappoints. Once I desperately needed baby blue flowers for an event, and there was none available. So I used white tissue paper and blue sidewalk chalk. No one could tell the difference. Now it holds a place among my supplies. Even bleach has its place. When it's diluted and used carefully, it creates effects you can't always plan for, and I use it only in well-ventilated spaces. What matters most isn't the supply. It's learning how paper responds and letting that guide you. Before we talk about techniques, I want to talk about paper itself. Most of the time, we treat paper like a flat material, something to write on, cut, shape, and move on. But when you add water and color, paper starts to respond. It absorbs or resists, and sometimes it surprises. That's where the beauty begins. I'm not using anything complicated here, just paper, water, and pigment. What matters more than supplies is how the paper reacts. Some papers drink in color quickly, others hold it on the surface a little longer. As you work, pay attention. The paper will tell you what it wants. Most times, I let gravity and time do the work. I dip just the edge of the paper into the dye and wait. As it rests, the color slowly begins to move in the direction you've placed it. The transition happens on its own, softly, unevenly, and that's exactly what gives it depth. However, when I have a pressing deadline, I use the help of the oven or fan. Variegation is where things get interesting. Instead of even coverage, I use light brush strokes, splashes, and uneven pressure to let colors meet where they want to meet. Some areas stay light, others deepen. What looks like a mistake now often becomes the most beautiful part later. This part asks for patience. As the paper dries, the colors soften and settle, edges blur. Transitions become gentler as pigments dry lighter. It's a reminder that the finished result isn't always visible right away. Once the paper is dry, it's no longer just a surface. It has movement, variation, a quiet story in the color. In the next step, this paper will become petals. But even on its own, it's already complete. If this way of working speaks to you, you're always welcome to stay a while. Thank you so much for being here.